Hey everyone, welcome to Creativity Connects with Mikki Wilson, a creative collective podcast where we go beyond the brands and get into the real stories behind creatives in business. Creative Collective is a business support program that provides modern resources, strategy, and connection for small businesses and creators because building something meaningful shouldn't mean that you're building it alone, right? I am Mikki, your host, a team member of the Creative Collective, and the founder of my own business, Dot Connector Consulting, where I work with women to amplify their value, voice, and visibility with intention. People know me as the Dot Connector, and I love bringing people together, creating spaces for real conversation, and helping them build meaningful relationships that move their work forward. This series is really all about the moments, the motivations, and the messy middles that shape who we are, not just as creatives, but as humans. Each episode, I sit down with a Creative Collective member, in today's case, a team member, to explore their journey, what drives them, and where they're headed next. And today, I'm talking with my friend, Elena Rodgers, the events director here at Creative Collective. Elena recently joined the team full-time after 5 years of managing the Haunted Happenings marketplace, and the heart she brings to this work is unmatched. With a deep empathy for small businesses and a passion for creating spaces where artists truly can thrive, she's the kind of connector who makes things happen, but always with intention. Welcome to the podcast, my friend. How are you today?
Thank you so much, Mikki. What a wonderful intro. I'm doing well. How are you?
I'm doing good, thank you. I'm excited to dig in. I know that you are new to the team, but not new to events. So I'm happy to get to know the who, the how, and the why behind the work that you're doing with Creative Collective. So let's get in to your story. You've been behind the scenes supporting creatives for years, but today I really want to start with you. Who is Elena beyond the events, beyond the planning, and what parts of your story have shaped how you show up in this work?
Well, I did not start off doing events. I actually graduated with a major in communications, which is helpful for a lot of people if you don't know what your path is. So a lot of people refer to that as a throwaway degree, but I actually think it really helped me form the basics of, how to be with a lot of different types of people. And I graduated with a minor in justice and law administration because I loved the black and white of it. Something about that just really intrigued me, and I did well in that. But post-college, I kind of tried to dive into my degree, and an event, I started interning for a music festival in Bangor, Maine, and the rest is pretty much history. I just saw my forte there, and I excelled. Fast forward to where we are now. That was 2012. And I feel like the biggest inspiration for me to keep going and the things that have given me the most grist for the mill, if you will, are the struggles, of course. I think that's a common theme for a lot of people who love what they do and have continued with it. The struggles give you a lot of motivation to overcome, you know. And then also just the kindness, the random kindness of people when you are struggling or when you're having a hard time. And it's like, wow, you didn't need to do that. You didn't need to be that nice. But somehow that really does push you along as well. So,
Yeah, I love that. I love that you mentioned struggles and kindness because I find that whenever I communicate any struggle that I'm having, right, an obstacle or challenge, some of the most fascinating people and conversations come out of kind of the journey through that struggle and kindness. We can't have enough of that right now,
cannot.
I think. And it's very soothing knowing that a little bit of kindness can really help you over the finish line of like an obstacle and whatever have you. I will say, I don't think communications is a throwaway degree. I think that's the degree people need right now because we are communicating in more ways than ever, and not just verbally, because again, the work that you do with events, right, that's a different level of like communicating. to different people and the outcome of what's happening for the audience, right? So
Yeah.
I love that. Thank you for sharing how you got to where you are right now with us.
Yeah, something just came up for me with getting my communication degree. I graduated in 2010, so I was going through school while Facebook and social media was evolving,
Mhm.
and that was a highlight of my college years was being in those conversations of what's it going to be like, what are the ethics of this, how, speculating on things. And, Facebook was still just for college students at the time, so and then it transferred over, and then there was the selling of the information, so just kind of
Mm.
being in those discussions as they were happening to something that we can't even look back on and remember what it was like before, in the before times.
Seriously, seriously. Yeah, and what an arc too, going through kind of your journey, that point in time, because we see now that can we even exist in a world where you're not creating content of your own and communicating that out in some fashion. And then just going back to your degrees real quick, I think it's very cool that, especially with that, the justice and law degree, because now we see social impact businesses and people with social missions. So I even think like the black and whiteness of that degree uh, adds to the creativity of kind of how you're structuring out and the types of people you're working with. I think that's super cool.
Yeah, and I will just say one last thing as a PSA. I really think it's important the things I learned, because it was only a minor, but learning your rights. The
Mm.
101 courses that were the basics for that minor were something that I feel that every American should be entitled to, because I learned so many things that we are all under the jurisdiction of, and I feel like unless you know those things, you can be vulnerable. You can be taken advantage of, and we
Mhm.
need to be as strong as we can right now. So I encourage everybody to educate themselves on their criminal justice rights.
Yeah, no, that's an important point too, because we're in the world of business and creatives and whatnot, but I think knowing your rights at every level, at any level and at every level, also helps you be able to advocate for yourself, but also the issues that are important to you. And then again, knowing that you do events, right? This is just a way for people to think about those layers of communication. See, that's why the communications is not a throwaway degree, y'all, is because we think of now those levels of communication. When you're informed about something, that creates the awareness. You can actually speak on it or protect yourself or protect your work, right? Because artists, I'm sure they have rights, right? But being informed of that. And then being able to advocate at a bigger level, whether that's through business or personal. So I love that you shared that. You've seen firsthand what it takes to build creative spaces that feel both exciting and inclusive. What draws you to this kind of work? Does it feed something within you?
Yeah, I mean, COVID proved that everybody really needs a break.
Mm.
Everybody needs to get out and shake it off, you know? And not everybody, I have found, has the skills to create large scale events. It takes a particular kind of brain, which, by the way, did not serve me in school at all. I had very low grades, and I was often actually considered to be in special classes, even though come to find out that actually had nothing to do with your
Hmm.
abilities to problem solve and think things through and create and plan. So thankfully, I believe there's a lot more help now for people who aren't following the straight and narrow there, which is amazing. But yeah, everybody needs a break, and I feel that since that was something that I'm able to do, and it's a talent of mine. It's a way for me to serve my fellow man, and it's without it being chaotic. If you're going out and especially nowadays, if you're taking time, your money to go out and do something that you know that you need to relax, so you can face the day on Monday or whatever day you have to go face the music. Chaos should not be a part of that, or be minimized at least. And it just that's my feel good takeaway from at the end of the day.
I
doing a
love
good
that.
event.
So it's like giving back, right? I heard the giving back to humanity part, right? You're serving the greater good. But I love that. We need things, we need spaces and things, spaces, places, and things to enjoy that take us out of the chaotic environment that we call life in general, right?
Yes.
Whatever. There's always something going on a given day. So I love that. You're helping people find their peace and serving a bigger purpose. I love this,
Yeah.
Elena. This is so cool. Um, in all your years of supporting small event-based businesses, what's something you've learned, either about the people, the process, or maybe even about yourself?
I've worked for a bunch of startups in the event space in a lot of different capacities, big and small. Um, from myself across the board, whether it's me or somebody that I've seen that is taking a chance to create something big that nobody's ever done before, you can never let yourself get in your own way for too long. It's impossible to keep those voices in your head from stopping you. From stopping you for a moment.
Yeah.
But you can't, you have to, talk to them, deal with them, and then move forward. Put them out. And that's almost a skill in itself, is to be able to move past your own, as we experienced about 10 minutes ago trying to get this podcast started, moving past your own blockages. And if you've come somewhere to do a job, you got to finish that job. And if you aren't able to do that, then unfortunately there might be a different path for you.
Yeah. And there's nothing wrong with that too sometimes, right? Discovering, that this may not be for me. And what I love that you said before that as well is having having the big idea that you've not seen before or that maybe somebody hasn't done before, right? And being able to bring that to fruition. And another important point, and this is always a fun one, the voices in our head. That's what's really, that was the one that wanted to come front and center.
Let's be real.
But I think for, look, whether you're a professional or you are an entrepreneur, business owner, whatever have you, I think we've all struggled with the voices in our head that holds us back. And so again, anybody listening to this particular episode, I would say self-check the voices. I've learned in my experience, sometimes the voices aren't even my voices. And when I recognize that, I'm like, okay, you need to step to the side so that I can do the work that I need to do. And sometimes when it's your voice, it's easier to self-check, like, okay, this is just me in my own head right now. But I've noticed, I think it's important to note, like, those voices. Who do they belong to and how can we check them so that we can take the actions and get it done? And as we said about 10 minutes ago, right, I encouraged people to think about progress and not perfection, because just doing the thing, messy, whatever, you're at least still taking the action. And so now you've moved from inside of your head to outside of your head, and you're just doing the thing. And we can fix it, make it pretty, whatever it is later, right? So yeah, I love that you shared that. I thought that was 2 great knowledge drops, because I'm sure with events, we see a lot of people ideating the big thing that they haven't seen before, and they need help putting that into life. But at the same time that we're doing these things that we may not have done before, seen before, they're completely new, not letting the voices in our head stop.
Yeah, and it comes down to authenticity and the reason that you're doing the thing that you're doing in the first place, the thing that nobody else can do.
Yep.
Because that is authentic to who you are.
Yeah.
And if you can't separate whose voice is who and what you've picked up down the road since childhood or whatever, who's telling you no, it's impossible to be truly authentic, therefore impossible to completely successfully, get to where you're trying to go. So learning that skill of putting those voices aside, I highly recommend putting in your tool belt.
Love that. I'm reading a book, and actually that's one of the points too, is the best way to collapse your timeline to success is really knowing who you are and having that vision of what you're trying to achieve, no matter what that looks like, big, small, anywhere in between. So that's really great. Now that you're officially a part of the Creative Collective team, how are you growing or stretching in new ways? And is there something in particular that's lighting you up about what's to come?
Yeah. So I have come from a freelance background.
Mm.
And in the live event industry, that means you are working with, well, I guess in anybody's industry, you're working with a lot of different types of people every day,
Yep.
maybe twice a day. Um, specific to the live event industry, some of those experiences can be a little traumatic.
Mm.
So you're trauma bonding with strangers
Mm.
all the time when you're freelancing live events. And while part of that has, given me my chops and everything like that, it is a huge relief to be working with a team who I am in a familiar space. They understand me, they value me. There's a need for me in the collective. So it feels very nice to have gotten to this place, and John has been such a major supporter of that. And I really appreciate him.
I love that you found your right people in the right place. I always tell people that's what I'm trying to get them to. They're right people, the right place, and the right time. And it sounds like you found your right people right now so that you can thrive in the area that you're best. And I will say, I love always talking about support, but it also sounds like the consistency, the structure, it allows you to thrive and focus on your passion, but it must be comfortable having the support of teammates to
Yeah.
to soundboard or do things like that with.
Yeah, and to even take it a step deeper, I have a lot of family roots in Salem, so
Mhm.
I'm very familiar with the city, and I've grown up coming here. I was married here last year, and it's working in within the walls of the city is just a dream come true, to be quite honest,
That's
because it's something I've known my whole life, and now I can come back and give back.
Oh, I love places that feel like home, right?
Hmm.
Because when you feel like you're home, you can really just lean into the comfort and support around you. And again, just be the best version of you. I love that. Excuse me. Everybody that knows me knows that I love talking about connections and support. So, this is my question for you. How can this community support you right now, not just in your role, but really as a person who's constantly pouring into others?
Something that sets the Salem and the North Shore creative community aside from any other that I've seen is the strength, and especially now, the diversity and strength that is being exhibited, regardless of what happens to be going on outside of our community. And it's trying to get into our community too, as we all know. The strength is unmatched. It's amazing, and it just is so empowering. And I would say on an individual level, just for anybody, I think being in the moment is something that we're starting to lose.
Mm.
I feel that there's so much to think about. I think social media is an amazing tool. I think it's incredible, but I do think it pulls our attention out of what is happening right in front of our eyes. And because this is such a new thing, I am a little nervous about where that the lack of awareness of the here and now,
Mm.
where is that bringing us?
Yeah.
Is it going to hurt us? I don't know for sure. I don't know, but I am that does make me it makes me feel a lot safer when I know people are present in the moment.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
I think, excuse me. Yeah. It's so funny how when I prepare for these episodes, you can't possibly know what I think or my mantra for preparing for these is. But one of like a line from my hosting mantra is uh, presence is powerful. Being able to really sit with someone and be focused on them and tune out the things that are happening around. I think that's really important. And it's funny before we sat down with this, I was talking about all the content in my phone when I go to places, but how I really take a photo, maybe a quick video, but I put the phone in my pocket because I'm really there to be in the experience. And there is a disconnection. Let's talk about live events, right? Going to a concert or a festival or something, there is a disconnection when you're watching it through the screen.
Mhm.
You're recording it, right? But there's something to be said about just like, all right, let's put it down and really be in the moment with people. So I think that is a very powerful statement. I think for you as a form of support, I think that's a great one. And I think it's a form of support that people could think about more because as we're in community with one another, can we actually practice being present
Mhm.
as we're together at the same time? I agree with you. Love social media, but there is a difference. I always talk about the matrix a little bit here, but there is a difference between, creating relationships and community online. It is an entirely different experience when you can deepen that relationship or deepen those relationships with people at live events and in person. So Elena dropping the gems today. I'm just saying. Do you have any final words, anything on your heart that you would like to share as we start to close out?
Yeah, just stick together. It's pretty generic among those groups that are needing some extra support these days, but just stick together and treat each other with kindness. You never know what somebody is about to walk into or what they might be thinking about doing. So a
Mhm.
smile goes a really, really long way.
Doesn't
And
it?
that's what I
I
got.
like this. Be kind to each other and smile more, my friends. So, Elena, thank you so much. Where can we find you, the work you're doing? If people want to connect and follow, where can we find you?
Well, I will be on LinkedIn. I am on all social media platforms, not as active as others, but or you can find me at the collective at any of the collective events actually. So you can just go on over to our events calendar and you can guarantee I'll be there.
I love that. Thank you, Elena. That's it,
Thank
folks.
you. My gosh, this was wonderful, Mickey.
See,
Really.
girl, I'm telling you,
This
right?
was beyond. It was beyond a podcast. There's a little bit of therapy in there.
Yeah, we try to have casual and connected conversations, as I like to say, because again, a lot of awesome businesses out there, but I think now more than ever, it's important to highlight the humans behind the businesses and the work that's being done, especially during some challenging times too. So yeah, I appreciate you spreading the genius. You dropped
Oh,
knowledge today, girl.
well, I agree. And if there's anything I can do to support you, let me know.
Girl, the connector will be asking. That is it, my friends, for today's episode of Creativity Connects. Huge thank you to my friend Elena for sharing not just what she does, but really who she is and reminding us of the power in showing up fully, even if you're in the messy middles. I just want to remind you that this podcast is brought to you by Creative Collective, a business support program that provides modern resources, strategy, and connection for small businesses and creators because, again, building something meaningful does not mean that you should be doing it alone. If you want to learn more about Elena and her work, definitely check the show notes for links and ways to connect. Until next time, I am Mikki Wilson, your dot connector, and this is Creativity Connects.